나라박 소식입니다. 인도네시아에서 전통 음악으로 복음을 전하고 있는 사람의 이야기가 인도네시아 사람들의 마음을 움직이고 있습니다. 무슬림 폭력배로 살다가 하나님의 자녀로 놀랍게 변화되어 순다족 무슬림들을 위한 복음 전도자가 된 한 음악가의 이야기 지금부터 전해드립니다.
Saiful is famous for playing Sundanese music on this traditional instrument. But this is far from what he was known for in his younger years. A high school dropout, Saiful extorted money from people, even going to the extent of hurting them just to get what he wanted.
But all this stopped when I learned that our gang was being hunted by a sniper. Some of my friends were killed. I was so afraid because I know I will be next, and so I ran away from our village.
Saiful sought refuge at his father's house, but he didn't know where to begin looking. He hadn't seen him in years. He was surprised when he eventually found his father in a Christian fellowship.
We are Sundanese, and we strictly follow Islam, and so I persuaded my father to go back to Islam. But my father said, "No, I cannot. If you want to know about Christianity, just read this Bible, because I cannot answer you."
So Saiful went home and read the Bible his father had given him. He was comforted by Matthew 11:28. "Come to me, and I will give you rest."
At that time, I was so afraid and so troubled, and so I said to God, "I will believe you if you can give me peace." I also opened to John 14:6. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me."
Saiful was convinced his father made the right choice. He too decided to follow Christ.
From that moment, everything changed, and I was not afraid anymore.
Saiful returned to his village a changed man. He served God by playing traditional music, and that attracted the people in his community.
This is the music center where Mr. Saiful teaches and performs traditional music. And this is part of what he calls contextual ministry, where he evangelizes in the context of the culture of the people.
I believe God gave me the talent for music, and I can draw the people to God using that type of music that is close to their hearts.
Muslims like Daddy enjoy Saiful's music.
The songs gave me peace. Saiful's wife shared with me the deeper meaning of the songs, and that's when I learned about Christianity, and that Jesus is God. After I believed in Jesus, I shared my faith to my family. They are also reading the Quran regularly, and I showed them Jesus in the Quran, and I tell them that Jesus is the way to God. This Quran can lead to Jesus of the Bible.
And what about radical Muslims, who may view him as an apostate and try to harm him for his faith?
I am not afraid, because to me, life is Christ and death is profit. When people come to protest against me, it's an opportunity for me to tell them, what's my mistake? I want to tell you Islam taught me and showed me the real way to eternal happiness. And it is only through Isa al-Masih, Jesus.
Lucille Talusan, CBN News, West Java, Indonesia.
The year was 1995. Here, in a refugee camp along the Thai-Burmese border, CBN's Gordon Robertson and a dozen Filipino missionaries were bringing the gospel to displaced refugees.
And I want you to ask God, what should I pray for with his family? Okay, so God can reveal something about his family, something right now, not in the future, but a prayer need right now.
Talk about that experience back in 1995, going to Thailand. What was it like being there?
That trip was pretty incredible. I have a message for you today.
Robertson says the trip and that year in his life
Because I sense that you're troubled, that you feel that
proved to be significant.
I want to impart a vision to you today of how God wants to use your present distress for the glory of his kingdom.
While he and the Filipino missionaries came to bring hope,
we ask your mercy for this woman, O Lord.
Restore the muscle in her right leg.
And comfort to refugees. Robertson says it also served as another divine confirmation of the role the Philippines would play in world evangelism.
His call, which was very clearly issued in the 1990s in the Philippines, and I wasn't the only one who was saying this is the call. This is a nationwide call. You will be the greatest missionary nation ever.
The Asian Center for Missions was birthed 20 years ago when Gordon said he received a vision from God of boatloads of Filipino missionaries going from this country to the ends of the earth.
And I think the Filipino people have been uniquely crafted by him to be the vessels for carrying his love, his reconciliation around the world.
Convinced of God's desire, Robertson moved his family to Manila and started training Filipinos for the mission field.
A Filipino can fit in anywhere, right?
They can go anywhere and fit in and blend in and be productive in the culture, productive in society. And with those, they have a unique gifting to be able to carry the message of God's love.
Since its beginning, the Asian Center for Missions has trained 1,700 missionaries, including 865, now serving in 60 countries around the world.
I am amazed at what God can do when you put yourself in His hands.
Honduran missionary Dr. Miguel Alvarez met Robertson in 1994, and together they co-founded ACM a year later.
The Bible is clear that the person who wins souls is a wise man. I want to be counted as one of those wise people.
Robertson calls the Philippines his second home.
Hallelujah. It is good to be home, isn't it?
And wants to see more answer the call to go and make disciples of Christ.
My goal is just teach them as much as I can, all that I can, and then release them to go out and achieve what God wants them to do. That is fruit that lasts, that remains, that I'll rejoice over in heaven.
Danny Bayasen says because of Robertson's obedience to start ACM,
I became a missionary to answer God's call to the nations.
17 years ago, Bayasen moved his family from the Philippines to serve in the Muslim-majority African nation of Burkina Faso. Since then, he's helped plant 10 churches, and in the last 5 years, his ministry has focused on so-called unreached people groups. He describes the results as astonishing.
For many pastors who are formerly Muslims, they have testified that they have dreamt of seeing Jesus in their dreams, and that's how they became believers.
Are you living your dream?
Yes. By God's grace.
Jal Lardizabal pastored a small church in 1995. Then one weekend, he heard Robertson give a message that changed his life forever.
Went to the mission field with this big God, big God, who has passion and heart for the lost souls.
On a recent weekend,
ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the entrance of nations.
Lardizabal and Bayasen joined hundreds for the 20th anniversary of the Asian Center for Missions.
It's sort of at a loss for words, both the miracle of its birth in the first place and then the miracle of how God sustained it through the early years and how He still sustains it today.
Brothers and sisters in God's kingdom, presenting the nations of the world.
20 years later, over 600 missionaries in the field. This is just the beginning, right?
I still think we're at the beginning of it. My dream is for every overseas Filipino to get charged with, I can be a missionary. When that happens, that's when that dream comes true. 600 may be a small cruise ship. So I saw boatloads. And so I'm holding on to that promise. And we're just at the beginning stages of it.